It is another Human First AI marketing podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague. You can find us at avenue9.com, where we do all kinds of cool things with scalable storytelling with AI. If you want to build a course, write a book, be known for something, start a community, that kind of thing, I'll help you do that with AI by contextually engineering your AI to tell your story better than you can tell it yourself. How about that? Avenue9.com. My guest this week is Michael Buzinski. He is the host of the Buzzworthy marketing show. He's got buzz in his name, but he's also got buzz in his business. And there's a lot of buzz around Michael because he's got a new book out called Rule of 26. You can find it at ruleof26.com. His website, buzzworthy.biz. Did I miss anything, Michael?
You got it.
I've never met a Mike I didn't like. How about you? What do you think?
The what now?
Have you ever met a Mike or a Michael that you didn't like?
I've met a Mike that I didn't like. I've never met a Michael I didn't like.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of Michaels in the world. I mean, that's
it was the number one boy's name for quite a long time. I think
very long time in the world. Like every version of it in the world, it was ridiculous. Like I want to say it was something like 1 out of 3 boys were named some form of Michael for a long time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and well, in the 70s when I was born, I'm an old fart. But I'm sure it's still. I don't know if it's still a common name. I don't know.
I think Muhammad is number 1 now.
So
but
right there's Michael,
and
that's still Michael right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's why I go by Buzz. It's easy for people to remember Buzz.
Buzinski is great. So tell us about Buzzworthy marketing in the era of AI and what you're doing to kind of fix random acts of marketing or AI into some sort of like scalable plan that makes sense.
So, my philosophy is that AI hasn't replaced any marketers yet.
Yeah.
They have transitioned copywriters into copy editors. They have made marketers more honest marketers if they're good. Because I can tell, and you probably can tell, and people are, and the average person in everyday life is starting to be able to see the patterns that AI produces, right? So when it was novel, everybody's like, this is really cool. And then they realize, oh my God, they're just regurgitating what's out there and they're just
it's a magic trick.
Organizing it, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, our biggest transition in AI is trying to teach people where to use it. And we call it AI optimized marketing. So you can optimize your time using AI, but it's not going to replace you. Just like in your book process, I'm sure there's a lot of human elements that go into it before it can even start giving. And then a human has to proofread it and copy edit it and fact check it and all the other things that go along with it. Right. So I think people, the people who say, oh, you don't need humans anymore. They're replacing jobs. They're making some jobs they're making some parts of people's jobs obsolete. But the human factor is still a human factor, and we're very far away, I say, from replacing humans altogether when it comes to an entire job. I think that they're just getting consolidated, and so the job loss you're seeing are the people who are doing the repetitive things that now computers can see the patterns and get that done for you.
Yeah, I love that. Obviously, the show's called the Human First AI Marketing Podcast, but it's also humans in the middle and humans last as well. You kind of got to go back and forth. And I've seen what you just articulated, that the smaller you make the task, the better the AI does, especially if you give it the context and stuff do the work first. Then if you do it a little bit at a time and you iterate and you argue and you edit and you review and you give it feedback and stuff, then you can make progress and make some really cool things faster than and better than you've ever been able to make them, and more creative now with video and imaging and stuff is insane.
100%. I found that, so I equate AI to a 6-year-old that has all the knowledge in the world and absolutely no context of it. And it's, as a 6-year-old, has a very short attention span. So if you give it a big task, it will truncate the output because it's lazy. It wants to go play. So that the whole stair stepping your output, I think, is very important. And I think that people don't know how to do that because, people think, well, I've got AI. I don't need, say, a marketer. I'll just ask them like, hey, so write me some website copy and act like you're Donald Miller doing it in story brand style. And I am a roofer.
Right.
And that's all they put in there. And then it spits out a bunch of gobbledygook, and then they put it out there, and they don't realize that half of the stuff in there is like internal prompting back to you of what you were supposed to feed back to it so that you could actually do it, versus, a marketer going, hey, I have an idea for a header, for our headline for my hero section. And I'm thinking, and this is, and we give them all the data that we've done in the market research and how can we say this better? What would be some options for headings? And what's a good call to action for XYZ? And then, like you said, it's just like these little micro tasks that you're optimizing for things, right? And I think that people just forget that there's I hate people call, like, was it prompt engineering?
Yeah.
And they charge a lot of money for it. And I have friends who do it. So if they're listening, God bless you for getting people to pay you for it. But I thought I needed to learn that. And I realized that if you just know what you're talking about, you don't have to engineer your prompts.
Yeah. It's supposed to understand natural language, right? So if you don't need to work a prompt and get it exactly right and give it examples and all those other kind of things, if you give it the right context. So yeah, what I shouted out earlier is I think context engineering is a lot more interesting to me than prompt engineering, because there is a power to knowing the right question to ask, for sure, especially when brainstorming or getting to a strategy or other things.
Mm-hmm.
But giving AI the context to answer that question in a way that's appropriate for you is also a big part of the process for getting good output.
Well, it's funny, people say, well, what's the prompt that you do for XYZ? I ask it, what prompt do you need me to get this output?
Yeah.
And then it gives me when I do deep research, deep research, whatever it's called in ChatGPT, they keep changing the names for everything. That one right there, it always asks you a bunch more questions. And if you get, the more specific you get on the research of what you're getting the research and what you need the research for, so what is the output going to be used for, like you're saying, context, right? The better questions they ask, the better you answer those questions, the better the research. Right. And I find if you feed the research back into a project, once you've done the research and it's used as reference for all things in whatever you're creating, you're getting a lot better. So doing the homework before you do the work, I feel, is a big deal, because then you can look at the research and go, nope, get that out of here. No, that we're not using that. No, those people are full of crap. You're cleaning your data, and then you feed it back into a project where it's like, hey, we're using this data set.
Yeah, what I just heard you say, if people didn't catch it or haven't done this much, there's kind of like 3 layers of things that you can put into actually getting a good output. One of them is the prompt. I even put in the custom instructions of, here's stuff that you want, here's files that you need to know about me, here's context about my business, but also the prompt of, if any point you're not 90% sure you're going to give me the right answer, ask me what you need to know in order to do great work, is one of my favorite.
Don't make stuff up.
Right. Don't make it up.
Literally don't. And in the projects, you get to preempt all of that, what you just said.
Right.
And that's why I like the projects. That are, for people who don't know, it's a little folder on the left-hand side underneath the GPTs that you might have subscribed to, and above the old chats that you have in your history. And there's a little folder there. You just click on it and it says new folder or new project. And then there'll be it reminds me of what Claude does. Because that's how all of them. I used to write with Claude. I used to use it for scripting, like social media posts and stuff like that. So we would get all the data in and then go, okay, give me 5 scripts off of this stuff. And it would only work off of that stuff. So it was already in the client's voice and all that other stuff. And now I got these.
I do that too with interviewing. If you interview your founder, your top salesperson, whatever your best clients, and put all those transcripts into a project and stuff too, you can say, work off of this information. And so Yeah, the projects are another layer. And then I think the prompts are like the third layer. Then you can argue with it and go back and forth or give more specific instructions. Now that you've done the basic rules, the branding, the voice on the outside, you've done the homework and the research that you're talking about and the context. Now, what's the specific ask? I need that one sentence. I need this title for this video.
Mm-hmm.
And you're writing a better prompt. I think if you all use all three layers, I've gotten really good original output. I still can't get it to stop putting M dashes in my stuff. But other than that,
there is a prompt that you, and this is the few places where prompts come in, is like having a Google Doc with the prompts that will stop them doing it.
Yeah.
And you can ask, because you're not going to remember if I tell you, ask ChatGPT, what prompt do I have to put into the project to ensure that you never, in capital letters, so it knows that you're really about it, use an M dash. It'll give you that prompt. You then take that, put it into your project description. When giving output, never, and then whatever the prompt is, boom, done.
So I totally agree. I hear you. I need to do it again. I tried that, and then it used an M dash, and I said, "Didn't I say never use an M dash?" And it said, "You're right, M dash. Sorry, it won't happen again." And I just, I just lost.
I also, one of the things is don't spell out M dash, put quotes and like copy and paste an M dash from the chat, and then put it in there with quotes and use M dash. And it's just,
so it's funny.
It's so funny because it is only a predictor of patterns.
Right.
So yes, unless you're using it's better in a GPT. If you can program your own GPT, which is really just kind of like a project is a GPT light, right?
Yeah.
And and anybody can make a GPT. You just go in there and say, "This is what I want you to I want to train you how to do XYZ. How do I do that?" You literally can get a robot to help you train it to do whatever you want to do. And I feel like it does a better job there if you're very explicit with the ... Now, I have some friends who have some pretty cool prompts. They're lengthy and they're good for when you're giving a GPT to somebody like a client to do a questionnaire.
Yeah.
And then it's good at like putting all that stuff. And then whatever that output is, it's going to give them instructions of how to get it then downloaded and sent back to you.
That's what I was going to say to add on to that is I think it depends on what the output you're trying to do. In businesses, I think in marketing that you and I do, it's not very hard. I think AI and everybody knows what website copy or a white paper or a blog kind of looks like. But if you're trying to get it to do a very specific proposal or table or analysis outline of data and charts and graphs, you probably need to give it examples of what you're looking for.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's where projects can come in, because you can create templates in your files that you attach to it. And then in your instructions is like, whenever asked for X, always use this as template and test it. You can also do that.
I think we've nerded out here on ChatGPT and the AI, but you're an expert in several other parts of marketing that I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
First, let's talk about the book. I've heard of the rule of 3. I have not heard of the rule of 26.
Well, which rule of 3 were you talking about?
Comedy.
Very good. Because there's a rule of 3 in a lot of things. In marketing, we have the rule of 3. When you're doing features, always do 3 or as many as 5, but always odd, right? The rule of 26 is not 26 rules. It's actually 3 steps for doubling your website revenue. So the rule of 3 is out as well there. And so I wrote the book of the rule of 26 during the COVID era. In 2020 is when I started writing it. When I realized that micro businesses, especially brick and mortar, who were being forced out of business, while the conglomerates were able to just do business as usual with the monopoly of not having to now compete with the small businesses, I was like, I got to do something, right? And I had just moved from Alaska to Illinois, and so I'm in this city in the middle of Illinois, Springfield, Illinois, is in the middle of cornfields and soybean fields.
Yeah. Right.
And we knew no one. So we were just in our house the whole time. And I'm like, I got to do something. So I wrote this book to help the service-based businesses of the world actually transition from brick and mortar to relying on their website. A lot of them transition into a digital version of their businesses when they could, right? And in that, though, there's a lot of noise. And this is pre-AI. And there was still a lot of noise about what to do with your website and all these gurus about website. And I had been building websites since 1999. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we can simplify this down because I was doing research and like HubSpot has something like 150 some odd KPIs, key performance indicators that you can rely on to tell whether your marketing is going well.
The website grader. Yeah. Marketing grader.
Yeah. And then your e-commerce in Shopify is like 120 some KPIs. I don't know about you, but I don't have time to look at 128 KPIs or even 150 or even 25. And so I'm like, what KPIs actually move the revenue needle? Because anything that doesn't actually move your revenue, bring cash in, is just a vanity metric. And so I wanted to figure out what KPIs could we do. And I found out there were three main ones that if you increased by 26% each, you would have a compounded output of 100% more revenue. And people say, well, what if I'm only making $100? Well, now you have $200 and you can do it again and make $400. And you can do it again and make $800. You can keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so to give away the plot, because the rest of the book is on how to do it. It's a very tactical book. The first metric is traffic, because if you don't have traffic, you're not getting anywhere, right? So we need to increase your traffic, and you need to get the right traffic, right? So understanding who your audience is really important, right? Because if you're not talking to your audience, you're not going to convert, which is the second rule. Okay, is increase your conversion rate by 26%. Now, this is not a huge lift because many websites only have about a 1 to 2% conversion rate.
Pretty bad.
So you're only talking about a quarter to maybe 0.5% more conversion rate to get 26%, right? Then the last is your average revenue per client. This comes down to the quality of leads that you're providing and how you are marketing your services to whether or not you're bringing in profitable prospects, right? So you increase those three in any order. I usually go backwards. I usually figure out how can we get the best offer that's going to make you 26% more revenue? Because while we're building the rest of that out, guess what? You can take that offer back to your current clients and increase your revenue immediately.
Yeah, I think I definitely work with people there, especially if your current offer is getting like 0 conversion. So 26% increase doesn't work if you're getting 0.
Right. Yeah, if you're getting 0, then I tell people, it's like, use the same rules apply in creating it. From 0 to 1 is 100% or infinitely more. 1 to 2 is 100%. 2 to 3 is 33%. Eventually you're going to get to the point where 26% is not a huge lift, just as much as 0 to 1 is not a huge lift.
Right. But either way, driving more traffic to a bad offer isn't going to work. So it usually does make sense to fix the offer, fix the conversions, make sure something is happening, and then turn up the gas on the traffic.
And it's really tweaking it, right? Like, get 100 people to come to the website. If 2 people don't reach out, tweak a little bit. And other people are, you need 1,000. I'm like, why? I mean, you could test it with the meta ads, for $20 and test your headers and test some of your call to actions and stuff like that for really cheap. You can definitely do that. And now with AI, you can create a bunch of variables and test them all at once in a day for $50. You're going to figure out which of your winners are there. And maybe for another $20, doodle those down to just 1 or 2.
Yeah. Love that. That's what I'm saying. I think the traffic is actually the easy part.
Yeah. That's why I do it last.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to waste traffic coming in, because traffic comes two different ways, as you know, but for our listeners, we have organic traffic, so it's earned, or we got paid traffic. Okay. And most of us are working off of earned traffic because we don't know what to spend money on, and we don't like burning our money, right? And as entrepreneurs, we freely give away the one finite commodity we have, which is our time. We just like to trade it away. There it is. Poof, bye-bye. Right? Talking to the wrong people, spending time doing the wrong things for marketing, spending time trying to figure out AI when you could just hire somebody to do AI for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
all this wasted time. But yes, I think that, if I had to write the book again, and I probably will do a revised version, is tell people that to go the other direction. I wrote it the other way because it was easiest to hardest for a lot of people for concept, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
and I think it makes sense for the marketing flow, right? Like you got to get somebody to the page
right. Well, and also if you don't have any, I wouldn't change anything in your website if you have zero traffic. Because you need to find out what's working, what's not working. Because you can put heat maps and all sorts of cool things in there to figure out what is actually working on your website without changing it. A lot of people are like, I'm not getting any conversions. Well, you don't have any traffic to get conversions. Come on now, dude. Now let's try. And sometimes it's not a whole revamp, right? Maybe just changing what your message is on the top with a different call to action there. Maybe your lead magnet is not working, right?
I've seen a lot of very blatantly obvious things to a professional marketer, but anytime I go to a site that hasn't been, especially for a small business, hasn't been developed by a professional, there's one of maybe 2 or 3 mistakes, and I'd love to hear what some of yours are, but usually there's either no call to action, or it's buried very low on the page, or it's a contact us for a sales appointment. Call to action is the only ones on there. Or they have way too many calls to action, and they're like, here's the white paper, here's the blog, subscribe to this, also follow us on social media, and watch our testimonial video, and do all of this all on the homepage. And you're like, okay, well, now we have the opposite problem, and very few have one clear, well-lit path for
I think it's important to have, in my opinion, and there's people who will disagree with me, I think it's okay to have multiple call to actions, but they have to be very calculated and purposeful. So at the beginning, at the top, contact. Either call, schedule an appointment. Done, right? If you take phone calls, some people don't take phone calls. You can't find a phone number on some people's things, and that's fine. If that's the way your business runs, it's like everything goes through the digital, and everything goes through the digital, right? So make sure that if it is that way, that they can schedule something. That you're not just making them fill out a form and wait, because this is what they're going to do. They're going to grab a keyboard and they're going to go look for the next guy. Right. But if you schedule something, and you make sure that they can be seen in the next 24 hours, they're going to consider that task done for the day, and they're going to go on to the next thing.
Love that. Now, you're also talking about something that I wanted to ask you about. When you say doubling website revenue, so far we've been using the example of not an e-commerce product.
Yes.
And I've kind of seen the whole gamut of stuff. Do you have a couple of quick tips on the differences maybe between a B2B service company and a retail product?
So, well, in the retail product, your call to actions are all over the place, right? Because it's buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now. Oh, here's this thing, buy this, here's this thing, buy this. Oh, you like that one? You probably gonna like this one too. And buy. You know, it's such a different space, right? It's very transactional to me. When we talk about service-based businesses, we're talking about relationships, right? And they need to one, understand who you are so that they know who they're going to be talking to, right? They need to like what you're saying more so than they need to like you. So many people, they do the know, like, trust paradigm. And I'm like, I don't have to like you as a person to do business. I do need to know who you are, what you're about, and that I trust you're going to do what you do. Those are so if I ever got to rename that thing, it would be the know, trust, like paradigm, right? because so many people get in there and they get their videos in there and they're like, oh, look at me, I'm approachable and I'm personable and or I'm soft spoken and you can trust me, and it's all about their personality, and it's just like, I don't care. Like, my accountant doesn't have to have personality. They just got to get the numbers right. Right?
Yeah, but I think there has to be at least an affinity or some sort of
You can't be
commonality with what you do. Like is
like it, yeah.
liking
But a
your
lot of people,
approach and liking other stuff is different than
exactly.
being
But
like a
so many,
bull. Yeah, I love your point
exactly.
though. That's a
Right.
nuanced one that a lot of people miss.
Well, it's made that way. It's made to be simple. Like, I know you, I like you, and that comes from the sales piece where you're trying to get that
Right.
camaraderie at the beginning of a conversation and something that's you guys have share in common. Okay, now, all right, cool. Now we've dropped the guard. You're a human, I'm a human. All right, all right. Now what? Right?
Yeah.
That type of thing. And so I'm okay with that. But going back to what we were talking about is that you still have to get with a transaction, but the transaction is usually a lot different because there's steps to service-based businesses a lot of time when you're talking about professional services, especially in B2B world, right? You're usually not just going, hey, I want that, unless it's a low ticket item, and which is usually just a value ladder into their higher ticket items.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I wrote this was specifically for the B2B businesses. If I rewrite it, it's going to be specifically for B2B businesses. Great. Because there are differences between the B2B and the B2C. So anybody who doesn't understand what we're talking about, B2B, business to business versus business to consumer. So a residential roofer is a B2C. A commercial roofer would be a B2B. There is two completely different paths for the buying cycle for both of those. And so your messaging has to be sequenced differently on each of those websites, even though you might have a roofer that does commercial and residential. So we had a HVAC company that did that. Yeah. And I said, why don't you on the front of the page go serving, this was up in Alaska, serving Alaska for 30 years. And then they had to choose commercial or residential. They didn't get anything else except the footer. So we already had a click. So that was good for SEO because we didn't have bounce rates, right? Click into what they are. Now I'm talking to you as a commercial contractor versus a homepage going, whether it's commercial or residential, if it's this, and you're back and forth. And now you're sitting here trying to talk out of both sides of your mouth versus just ask them the conversation. Do you want this? Do you want that? Right? Our current website right now has a DIY versus DWI versus DFY. So do it yourself, done with you, or do it for you. Track of information. So if you're a DIY person, I'm only showing you the DIY tools.
Love it. And hey, let's shout them out here real quick too, because you've given us a lot of awesome content. I want to give you some love here. Buzzworthy.biz is the Buzzworthy marketing website. Fixing your website, your marketing that's holding you back from scalability. Go check out Michael there. The book you get for free at ruleof26.com. So go to ruleof26.com right now and just grab your free copy and click the link that's below. But Michael, before we let you go, I got to ask you one really important question.
Okay.
Which sci-fi movie do you think we will end up in 30 years from now within our lifetimes? Which one is
most it's funny you just said that. I just saw a video that said PCU is now coming to fruition, and before that was Idiocracy. And so if you know those two books, Idiocracy is a comedy sci-fi, so I think we've already seen that happen. So now what's the next one in 30 years? That's a tough one. I would probably have to say, well, if Elon Musk gets us to Mars in the next 30 years, Galaxy Quest.
Okay. I like it. That's not the worst option out there. We'll take it. You're the first one to say that one, though. So I appreciate the answer. All right. How can you help us, or how can we help you?
If you have to guess on your marketing, go get a professional. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Mike. Just find a professional, because there's so much bad marketers out there. and marketing out there, then the noise, you're never going to beat the noise. And so if you just do me that favor and be honest with yourself, if you're not a pro, find a pro's help. You will thank yourself in the end. That'll help me.
Love it. Michael Buzinski, buzzworthy.biz, ruleof26.com. And don't forget, since you made it to the end of this podcast, he also has a podcast, Buzzworthy Marketing. Find it wherever you're watching or listening to this one. As for Avenue 9, we mentioned it earlier, but we help people figure out how to use AI in their marketing to punch above their weight class. If you're a small and medium-sized business, I don't think a lot of them understand now, or you understand, that you can do 9 times the marketing you could do 10 years ago with the AI tools, and it doesn't require 9 times the budget and everything. So check it out, avenue9.com, and love to talk more. But until then, keep going. Have fun, everybody. Bye.